Three, two, one. We are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
And here we are back.
Yeah, well, I'm back, and we're rocking again this week. We guess lots of stuff going on. It's been a busy year already, and continuing. Yeah, we got a great roster right through into the early summer here already booked. So we have some great guests and guest artists, and today we have I'll call her a lyrical abstract artist.
Wow.
Cathy Bible from Alberta. And very aggressive paintings or very aggressive abstract paintings. But we're going to delve into some of the stuff about her, the imagery and how she works. She's kind of a spontaneous piece of combustion. I call it that.
Oh, wow. This will be exciting.
There's no preconceived ideas when she comes to the canvas. So we're going to talk about how, as an artist, you can just walk up to the canvas, you know what to do. I mean, I have no idea how that's possible, but I'm kind of a planned kind of a person, personally. So, but other people have just that intuition that they say, okay, I'm going to go up and respond to the canvas that's in front of me. So I'll just talk to her about it. And she's been a principal, a teacher. She's encouraged kids for many years to, even if they want to be a plumber, welder, whatever.
So she's perfect for this show, encouraging kids. So there you go. Yeah, perfect.
Take up art as part of a life and understand what it's about. So enjoy it. So let's bring Cathy in and we can talk.
There's Cathy. Cathy, welcome to the show here. We're going to go wide shot because Cathy's got this great studio behind her, but we're not really sure if it's hers or if it's a green screen. But we don't want to say anything. But it looks very cool. So, and Cathy, enjoy your show. I will come later because nobody wants to hear me go, it looks pretty all day. So you two have a great show and we'll see you at the end.
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
Well, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm up.
And it is morning where you are. Don't bother coming back up here right now. Wait there for another 2 weeks. We're in the middle of a spring snowstorm like crazy right now, but it'll melt. You know it, and I know it melts.
Yeah.
We need the moisture like crazy, so that's all good. But how are you doing?
Excellent.
Good.
And how about you?
Well, we're busy and we've got lots of stuff going on. And when I came across your work, I was just like, oh my goodness, it's beautiful stuff.
Well, thanks.
And it's different. The work is, we'll just talk about your journey a little bit. Like, how do you come about this? Like the way you paint. We'll just talk about this and then we'll bring some images up and and people just be like, oh my, kind of gobsmacked a little bit about what you're doing. And I mean, I'm praising you a little bit here, but I think it's worthy of it, right? It truly is, to see what you can do with, I guess you call it unconventional tools. So we'll talk about that as well. So your journey a little bit. How's that been?
It's been interesting. I was an oil painter to begin with. And so you copied a picture and, did that sort of thing. And I just found it too constraining and I couldn't paint as good as my colleagues did. So I kind of got just frustrated. And then I saw an abstract course. My mom and dad had passed away that year. I had retired, so it wasn't a good year. So I registered for this course and I painted and I cried in the paint. I didn't have to pay for counseling. Brought home all these canvases and my husband just about had a fit because they're all in garbage bags. I had 16. I had a great time. And he said, what is it? He said, they're abstract. Well, what are you going to do with them? I said, well, you could do it this way, or this way. And he said, you're not hanging those in here. I said, oh, yeah, I'm sealing the walls. And he just walked out and shook his head. He said, they're kind of dark. And I said, well, yeah, it's a dark period of my life, And from there, it just kind of blossomed by accident.
Yeah. The voice is breaking up a bit, so I don't know whether it's just the mic or something in the microphone on your computer.
Maybe I have to go a bit closer.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, just so that we can make sure that we can understand.
Check the sound on it.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great story. Somebody missed it.
Yeah. No, it's good. Everybody has the journey. So has your husband been kind of supportive of your work? Now you've committed a little bit more?
Not now he is. In the beginning, no, he kind of said, you can't paint in the house. Because I make a mess. So he said no. So I took it with courses, and my first painting that I took a course in, I was drying it on the floor, and the instructor said, like it. I said, well, thank you. She said, no, I really like it. So what do you say? Thank you twice? And she said, no, I really like it. And by this time, I haven't got a clue what to say back to her. Then she said, I want to buy it. How much? So I looked up at her and I said, I'll get back to you on that.
Good for you. Yeah. You never give a price if you haven't got it priced already and thought about. Don't give your price immediately unless you really know that's a good answer. I'll get back to you. And you can really digest what has actually just happened, because this can happen to you, at any time, right? You put stuff on your walls and you have a party, a bunch of people show up, and nothing's really for sale or marked on your wall, but say, would you sell that painting? And you say, yes. How much is it? Don't tell them just yet, because it's like, yeah, you're right. You need to take your time. Well, let's get Stephen to load up with his first image, because I think we need that piece started up. There we go. Perfect. There we go. So I called you a lyrical abstract artist. How do you respond to that? Like,
well, I think that's pretty true.
Are you a lyrical artist?
I'm a bit lyrical and a bit with intuition thrown in. So the title's pretty good. I had a gallery and I called it Lyrical Art Gallery. So you're probably just about right on.
Yeah. Well, part of it is this kind of stories from the heart. That's kind of a lyrical way of looking at it. Because you don't really know what the beginning or the end is going to be, or the middle. You just start rambling and one piece feeds to the next. That's how I see lyrical a bit. Do you paint from inspirations on the previous painting? Do you find that goes through and creates a series, or can you think about it that way?
No.
Okay.
I just paint straight from the heart and the soul. And if I'm in the zone, whatever comes on the canvas comes on the canvas. It's like expressing yourself. You just have to. So there's points that I just have to paint and just let it go.
Yeah. Well, I've had other artists that say the same. They kind of, they just have that inspiration. So you don't get periods where you're blocked as far as what to paint?
Not necessarily what to paint. I kind of have to be in the zone and feel it. And if I don't, I just end up making a mess. So I usually do a lot of paint up. But then that's okay, because then later on that's good for a background for another painting. So some of my paintings have 2 or 3 paintings underneath. That's sometimes what helps build them up.
Yeah.
And they have so much texture then.
That's right.
So that's kind of what I do. But one time I painted a painting and I said, oh my gosh, what a mess. And I walked around, I said, oh, it's upside down. It looks great this way, So it depends.
So you're not afraid of people taking your work and turning it sideways or upside down if they feel it, your work responds to them that way. You're quite happy with that?
Oh, it's not going in my house. It's going in your house. So however way you want it is absolutely fine with me. So I don't sign the front, because frequently people turn it on me. It's got to mean something to you. I don't tell people what I see in a painting, because they're looking through my eyes. They have to look through their own eyes.
Yeah. I think, I think it's a give and take, probably, of both, because at some point it is your idea. You have to start there. But great idea, because I've had that conversation just this last week with people about where do you sign your name, and should you sign your name on the front of a painting? Well, I guess if the painting is basically intended for one direction, in other words, sky's at the top and grass is at the bottom, you typically have a bottom of a painting and a top of a painting due to the imagery. But that's the one flexibility with some types of abstraction. You can twist and turn it a little bit. So it becomes more than one-dimensional or two-dimensional. It now has, I guess, a different story. Maybe a different story in it when you turn it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's different, and you'll see different things in it.
Yeah.
And some clients will say, well, I don't want to hang it that way because that's the way you hang it, the way you want to see it. I said, no, it's not for me, it's for you.
Right.
And once they understand that, and when they turn it, they're so surprised at what they see that's different.
Okay, I'll go back here. We're looking at titles, the titles a little bit here. Where do they come from? Like this one's Sacrosanct, right? So what does that mean to you when you...
Well, I try to name paintings that don't imply what it looks like to me. So I try to think of ones that represent wisdom, joy, amazing. So those titles are sometimes in Greek, sometimes in Italian or what. I pick other languages. Some are in ruins and what the symbols of ruins are. So I pick different things to express the painting.
Yeah, I thought maybe you had a thesaurus. I thought maybe you had
use that a lot. Yeah.
We're picking up some ambient noise from somewhere. I don't know where it's coming from, but in the background. But anyway, it's this piece. Just I looked at one of the first ones I put in the series, and we've got quite a few pictures to go through here. I put all of them in that you gave me, so we have it's a joy to be able to show this to people. So this immediately you look at this. Oh, this is a wave. You just look at it and say it's the natural curve. And was that something that was in your mind when you did this one? Was this intended to be a wave, or is this just the way they're... What kind of tools did you use in that as well? We just talked about that.
Well, this one was made with calcium carbonate and glue. So I mixed it all up and put it on. Then I tilted it and kind of wrinkled. And then I painted it. So it wasn't an intention to look like that. It just turned out like that.
Yeah. So you actually planned the cracking in the background?
Calcium carbonate does crack.
Yeah, I can see that. It looks old world, and it has a really a very defined look to it. But it's very much there's a famous wave by a Japanese printmaker. I cannot pronounce his name, but it's like this. The wave is his signature. Quite a beautiful piece, but contemplative, or contemplate, I guess. This one really, I guess there's the broad strokes that you're using, right? You got all your arms working. Is this a fairly large piece?
24 by 48.
Okay, so you got a bit of arm room moving. So do you work standing up kind of thing, or lay on a table flat or floor?
Floor, easel, wall. It depends on the size of the painting.
Right. Okay.
So I'll sometimes work on the floor. And I start off with gloves, and halfway through, or I don't know how, the gloves seem to disappear and I'm just covered in paint. So sometimes I use my fingers. If some of my paintings, you can actually see that once I use my fingers, you can actually see where I did the strokes actually with my hand.
Yeah.
But this one can go 4 different ways.
Okay, it does. Yes, you could definitely rotate this one vertically as well. No, it does have that a beautiful wave motion to this, and there's a lot of motion in these things. And you work kind of with a minimal palette. I mean, 2-3 colors, basically.
I really got into those colors, and it was what I had done is during shows, I looked through interior design magazines and cut out, because I don't really talk to the clients. I want them to relate to the paintings on their own. They know where I am if they're really interested. Once you go in, they sometimes just disappear. I let them decide and look at the painting themselves. And so the colors, I looked at the magazines and saw these colors, and I liked them. So I just started to paint with them, and that's kind of like how it happened.
Right. It's got a... Wow, that's true. Get background noises, microphones. Yeah, I lost my thought here. No, it gives you a lot of really nice gray values as well. Like you need grays to make the other colors punch up, and
Hmm.
I think some of those blacks and ochres that you have in there gives a nice, it's kind of, they're nice warm abstracts, and but they have an energy to them. So and that's what I really love about them. They just, as we go
Yes.
through these things, these are some of are these earlier pieces that you have, or?
No, that one is a newer piece. The one previous one was much older, you
Oh,
know.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try something here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Maybe it's my microphone. I don't have a proper mic. But no, that's it. We'll move on. So this, how do you pronounce that? Duante?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see. I have another artist who's an abstract artist, and she pulls from a lot of Italian, like classical music, and she'll use
Hmm.
titles, and it's and they really work well with her work as well. And these ones are, because a lot of time a title can be too distracting to another
Yes.
a buyer. Sometimes it gives them a direction if you want them to go there, but you need. I've always sort of said it in videos where there'll be a person that'll um, the cowboy will be getting down off the horse, but you need to don't make that the title. You need to have the title say something other than the cowboy gets down off the horse, and you need to, because that gives you a little bit more depth about what is happening um, in a situation. I think a painting's the same. Yeah, words can be confining, but also
Hmm.
words can open up another direction for somebody who has, say, a certain thought about something, which is fine. But when a title activate another thought about it, oh, I didn't see it that direction, or I didn't see that in there before, and that comes from maybe some guidance, I guess I'll call it. Rhapsody. So this one has this cracked mud look to it. But
Yes.
not mud in color, but it has a very different feel to the previous one. Um, Yet it's still part of your genre of how you paint. And I think I read somewhere that you were actually working with tar, or
Yes. This
using.
one isn't one of those, but yes, I do work with tar. This one it was the calcium carbonate, and I mixed it with paint before I put it on, and then I put the paint right on top. So I did all these wonderful different patterns on it.
Yeah. So those patterns come from like scraping and different things as well, or?
And sometimes you have to leave them for a while and let them kind of set and decide which way they're going to go and move. And then you
Right.
come back and go, oh, things start to come out afterwards.
So it has some kind of slump.
Yeah, this one can go 3 or 4 different ways.
Yeah. No, but it does slump a little bit because of weight and the amount of pigment on there, right? If you stood it up, does it want to pull down a little bit?
When it was created, it did, but once you hang it, no.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm just saying, because that would affect whether you're working on an easel, because things would start pulling down.
Yeah, this one dry out, kind of tilted it a bit, and then it dried on the floor.
Yeah, I can see that's why that one would work. This one's got lots of energy in it. Just really, yeah. There's a lot of.
This one has
palette knife on this one as well.
Yeah, palette knife, and this one has the tar on it. And when you use tar, you have to use a mask because the fumes are roofing tar is quite strong. And I have to let it dry for about a year, 6 months to a year. So just solidly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I definitely was wondering whether that was happening. You'd have to do that with tar for sure. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know about drying agents for tar. I know it takes quite a while, even outside, like on a shingle on a roof or something. And now, but once it dries, I mean, the film is not that heavy. It's still opaque, but it's you get a bit of heat or warmth, and does it get activated again? Just kind of concerning that way. But it does give you a beautiful black. I don't know about I don't know, the acidity and oil on a canvas. What kind of substrate do you use? Use canvas as well?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
started to make my own canvases. So I've been learning on a huge learning curve.
Well, canvas responds differently than panel for sure.
I like the flexibility of the canvas.
Yeah,
And you move more things on a canvas. When you have a hard surface, it just kind of sits there. It doesn't allow
Yeah.
for a lot of movement.
yeah, I understand that. There's the life when you have a brush and a palette on it. It has a little bit of give and bounce back a little bit. So I think it's kind of nice working on a really nice taut canvas for sure. I know some people, they like to stretch it on a board and put it on a wall, and then they actually don't actually work on stretchers. They just work on canvases like skins, and they paint on them, and then they don't sell them. They roll them up and put them in put them in a tube and get another piece of canvas, and there you go. But actually, a number of galleries will accept them as, I guess, rolled up. It saves a lot, and they ship them. And the gallery at the other end stretches them and sells them. So it saves a lot on shipping and storage for both ways. But so this one's called Beyond, and it is what you
What
it
it
is,
is, what it is beyond me.
and way beyond. Yeah. Well, no, it's got a nice gestural feel. Feels a little Japanesey to me. This one's just got that. It's kind of fun. Actually, there's a beautiful little painting just in the top right corner, that little horizontal stroke. There's a painting in a painting, right? Just right there.
Yeah.
That piece would be beautiful in itself. Isn't it funny how that works, just with the pigment that's left on your knife? And as you're moving back and forth, it's generating images as you move across the panel, and you just have to know when to stop.
Exactly. That's the biggest problem I have, is when to stop.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of artists have that. Some actually overwork a piece. And minimalism is something that scares a lot of artists. But it's in you if you learn it. It's a great skill set to learn when to stop. I like this piece. I looked at it to start with, and I thought it feels pretty gray general over the whole thing. But you look at it a little bit more, and it's not. There's a lot of, that calcium carbonate is coming through as well. Again, you can see the cracking. It feels just like this beautiful old wall on a building somewhere. And I'm sure you're getting inspiration from somewhere. You're getting, like, stuff is happening with you in osmosis somewhere. I don't know where your ideas come from, but your brain picks up ideas from different places, I guess. I don't know how that works.
I'm not sure either. I know that a couple paintings I've painted, people have come in and said, this reminds me of some town in Italy or something. And I go, I haven't been there. And they've come back to my tent and said, look, and they showed me a picture, and I'm just amazed that exactly it looks like this place in Italy that I've never been to.
Yeah. Well, in this lifetime, maybe. Right?
Yeah. That's true. Very true.
Well, it definitely has this door portal thing in there. The light on it is gorgeous. Even the light in the interior and the top. And I'm saying it's a doorway, and it can be whatever. And I guess the other way, you could turn it vertically, and it would be a window. Who knows? But it is a beautiful piece, and I just, really different than the other ones, because the other ones were a little bit. These ones are becoming more illustrative, and not in a bad way. It's becoming more as a defined idea. The previous ones were really quite abstract.
This one is done on 300-pound watercolor paper. And it's and it is the calcium carbonate. And then after it dried, I had to put weight on it so it wouldn't, be flat, and had it framed.
Right. Yeah. So what is it? So is this meant to be matted and framed then?
I didn't mat it because it's 36 by around 26.
Yeah, it's big.
You know, so it's big. So I didn't demand it because then it'd just be huge.
Yeah.
You know, so I just put it in the frame. I don't put glass on it because it's tar and the rest, and it's sprayed with varnish, so it doesn't need to have glass on it.
Right.
It's like it's like canvas, but I've done it on paper.
Right. Yeah. Some people will. You can use a rice paper glue, which is like wallpaper paste, and it becomes pre-mixed in a can from one of your paint stores, even the Home Depot, and it's wallpaper paste. But look for the rice based, which is acid free, and you can glue the back of it and glue. So you just like doing wallpaper, and you can actually put it onto a piece of plywood or heavier masonite, and then it can be framed and done. So because
Well, I've been looking for the right glue because I made a few of them, and the stuff that I used at the back, they wrinkled.
yeah, no,
I
right.
was so disappointed because you couldn't pull it off. You're kind of like stuck. So that's very interesting.
Use the wallpaper paste and
Yeah.
And then put a bit of weight on it, like put a piece of plywood on the top and a whole bunch of big old textbooks.
Yeah.
And just let it dry, and it'll be there, and it should be. I've done that with paper before, and then actually paint on it after I'll adhere paper to not 300-pound, but to masonite. You have to be careful because sometimes it will actually curve through masonite, but at least that'll pop out and you put it into a frame. And then it's ready to go. But
that's fine.
yeah, and this one here, rain. Yeah. So these things, yeah. This was just this beautiful little. It's just I really like this. This one might even be horizontal to me. But I do like the. It feels like it wants to be. I see the things happening, but your imagery always has lots of different things happening in it. I mean, it's amazing how you can see things when you're working with a thing like a spatula, as to what comes out right at the other end, right? Palette knife.
Palette knife, spatula, big brushes.
Yeah.
You know, because I can't. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so I can't do fine work anymore. Like it's just too long to hold a tiny brush. I can't do detail. I admire people who can, but I can't do it anymore. So I find that the bigger canvases give me much more energy and ability to move the paint and whatever I'm using.
Yeah. Well, you can see that. I mean, I can see that things are moving and textures are building, and I mean, your work is very textural, and it, there's lots of punch to it. But I think the blacks have given you an accent to. It's not like wallpaper. Like you have a good distinctive image in what you're doing, and I've been enjoying this series that you worked on here. And I'll call it a series, but we're going through I think this is one of the earlier pieces I saw of yours from last year in one of our shows, and I really wanted to ask you what's going on in the very top of this page.
That was a drip that happened. And I said, "Oh, it looks good,"
Well, this has it definitely is a cliff. it's very defined image, like to me. So this is actually more image based to me than your previous works that you've shown, and I can read a lot of stuff into this one. And it's gorgeous. There's this beautiful wall texture, but there's this fence at the top. I don't know what that is, but don't touch the drip. Leave it where it happened. Like it's beautiful. It's a beautiful image, and it conjures.
I have to leave the paintings because the images seem to come out later. Once the paint is dried or finished moving, then sometimes I'll draw on top if I see something inside of it. I have to see what's in there, and then I'll bring it out.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Like things are just not so much the area that you worked on, because I don't know where you stopped and where you started on this one, but I think it's there definitely was an idea in your head when you worked on this one a little bit. I think because the lines are so defined in this one. There's not it's not as loose as your previous ones. This one feels like you said, you work back into it more, and I love the image. I love what's going on in it, and it just, in a grayscale, yet it's not. You've got a little bit of color coming in that. Now, lack of words, sky area in the top. There's just in behind the cliff imagery, I guess we'll call it, and it feels like an etching. It feels like an etching, I guess, a really rich etching, and I just. Yet it's done in a buildup of abstractal, mostly oil paint. Is that what you're mostly in?
No, this is acrylic, a bit of tar, and paint. And I usually use, I love gold, so it's got a bit of gold when you actually see the painting. There's a difference between seeing it on a screen and actually seeing it real.
So how's that work between acrylic and oil, switching back and forth? Is it?
Like oils, I use the last part because it's on the acrylic. If you use underneath, it tends to cause it. Well, sometimes it causes interesting things, So it really depends. When I'm in the throw of it, I can't remember how I painted this, and I could never paint it again.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. No, that's one thing about these are one-offs. A one-off piece for sure.
And I don't do prints because it doesn't capture the texture, the energy, the imagery as well. So I don't use prints. So it is one of a kind.
So this one does feel like a colograph. Do you know what a colograph is?
No.
Okay. So if you were to work on a piece of plywood and you had, and I'll just say, use plaster, and you build up, say you built up this texture with plaster of Paris on the plywood and let it dry. And then you ink it with, or rub paint and pigment onto it, into that, and you build up the color on it. Then you put a piece of paper on top of it and a blanket, and then you add pressure to that, and then you pull your print off, and you can actually make prints from your original colograph that you're doing. And you can, so it's something to think about, because this one feels,
definitely,
it feels like a hand rubbed plaster of Paris piece of work. And I'm just saying you can ink and do things on it and add pigment to it. Then you can put paper on top of it and run it through a printing press, or have the guy with the steamroller outside who's doing your driveway and have him drive over it or something, and you can actually make a print from it. So, but the colograph is
idea. That's great.
full of ideas. Yeah, your husband will just love that.
I was just going to say that.
Way to go. Yeah. Anyway, we can talk about that later. It's fun things to do. This one, there's this one and another one coming up that we definitely want to talk to you about. This one feels really Turner-esque to me, and we talked about that before, and they said, turn of the century English painter Turner, he painted these tumultuous oceans and different things, and the colors and the power that was put into here. This one feels like Moby Dick to me. He's just the power. I can see a whale in there, and he's just fighting the ship, and we can just, the tension, like this would make a great cover for Moby the Dick. I just like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And yeah, so now you see my idea is what I see in it, and somebody else will see different things, but definitely there's energy in here. I love it. Just and the colors are not, it's not cold, you feel that little golds and those ochres you have in there, just they punch things up, they give a nice feeling to it. Can you tell us a little bit about the making of this piece, if you can remember that?
No. No, somebody said I should record myself, but I don't think I talked during it either. I just go with it. And then that's one that I was able to walk away from. So it turned out okay.
Yeah. No, you knew when to stop on this one. And, you called it Orphic. And yeah, I don't know. It feels very it's just a really nice, powerful piece. Like it would look. And is it fairly large? 24-30-ish? Or
30 by 40.
okay, 30-40. Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's got a really nice power to that. And yeah, it's tough when you have a show of similar imagery, similar colors, kind of similar types of different types of energies in them, and they all sit up on a wall in a gallery, say 15 or 20 paintings in a room, and you want to keep people excited about your work. So the positioning of these things, so they go from one to the next.
It takes a long time to set up, like if I'm going to have a show, to set up, to put them up, to see what flows with what flows. And if this one changes and that one changes, because each one is quite powerful, you have to make sure that they kind of flow together. When the one's over more powerful, coincidence.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit on that what you just said, but I think we get what you're saying. I think we're having a bit of an internet thing that's happening with us a little bit, but in the voice transfer. But anyway, I think the imagery to keep people focused on that. So I'll ask, what do you see in this one? And I'm sorry,
this one was
what?
in a show, and this one was in a show, and I had a little old man come in and look at it, and he walked out, and he came back, and he came back again. So the third time, I said, "I'll go to talk to me, senior." And I said to him, he said, "Oh," he said, and he looked at me and he said, "This one, it looks like boobs." And I said,
like,
"Oh, looks like boobs."
Boobs.
And I said, "Oh," and I think he was looking for a reaction out of me. So after that, every time I looked at it, what did I see? So the background is from the old painting, and I painted on top of it because I couldn't look at it anymore. So this is on top of another one.
Yeah. This one is different than the other ones because this one's like you've drawn with the edge of actually using a palette knife to draw or a brush. So it's very, this.
This was done just with an ink thing, an ink one that has an arrowhead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it feels very, it can be. I don't know about the boobs thing, but I think it's,
It was a previous painting. This one isn't it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This one feels very much like you're walking in the woods, kind of a feeling. It has that. There's a. It's a little drawing. It's a drawing put on top of it, so it feels different. It's different than your other pieces. I'll give you credit for that. It feels a little Don Quixote to me, a little bit too, as well. There's just it's the black line, I think, that in the darks, but it's still it's a lovely piece. But it's different than your previous pieces. So it's kind of these ones you need somewhere between other ones so people can. It's like a breathing spot between your other pieces.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do it like pick out a color that it has in it, and another piece might have a little bit of that color so that it kind of flows with another one. There's a lot of thinking that goes with it too, because when people buy paintings, they want one over the couch. You can have 3 or 4 if the colors are pretty good together, and it creates quite an interesting background.
Right. Yeah. I love the background. Yeah, the background is amazing. Like the color values and the different things that are textural things that are happening back there. The color palette is gorgeous in the background. Just gorgeous for that to sit on. It has a really nice. It's not just gold or something, and there's a little bit of really different, unique color mixings back there. So it's kind of fun to look at. There you go. Ethereal. It's again another piece. I feel it's very Turner-esque. We talked about that, and you said you'd go and research a little bit about Turner and his work.
I did.
Yeah, this one feels like this ship that's just having a heck of a day out on the ocean. He's listening to the left, and the masts are at the top, and it just feels. And I do this with a lot of artists. I say, "What do I see in your work, especially abstract work?" And it's kind of fun, to look at a piece of work and see other things in it, and especially if
That's
the art.
the whole idea.
I know. And we try to encourage people who buy artwork that this work has to sit on your wall for a long time. And when you get up in the morning, it looks different than in the afternoon. And we try to encourage them to this is a great it gives back to you every day, right? And that's
I had one client come in and she said she liked the painting. And I said, she said, could I take it home to see if it matches my walls? I said, no.
good for
She
you.
kind of looked at me. Her husband was going, yes, yes, behind her. And I said, I want you to love the piece so much that when you paint your house, you paint it to match this painting.
Black
Look
wall.
at, yeah, like a white wall, whatever, like it's, a tanned or something. Anyway, the piece means so much to you. You're not looking for a matching thing. Because then what's going to happen is you get tired of the piece, you change the paint in the house, it ends up at a garage sale. And if it does, phone me because I'll buy it back. So yeah.
Or you could offer to go and paint their couch.
That would work.
I've always wanted to do that. I'll paint your couch, no problem. It's just
yeah.
So it'll complement the painting.
Because you have to think it's a painting that you want to keep. You're making an investment, and it's a real original. So you have to think about when you're making an investment in original, you have to love the piece, and it'll go in anything. And your furniture and your walls are going to change, but that piece is not going to change unless you turn it around.
Well, they can turn it upside down. They can do it sideways, do what they like with it, I guess, as well. Yeah. But it's learning to live with the art that you like. I mean, when you look at somebody's house, if you go into somebody's house after, say, 15 or 20 years of living in their home, if you had this ability to sum up the kind of work they like to buy and put in their house, then it could be everything from their kids' drawings and paintings to whatever. It does speak of their personality, even though they don't see it. Somebody else can go into a house and look at the personality of those people, whether they're home sense people or whether they buy from nonsense or they buy from Walmart or whatever. Do they buy from art galleries or do they buy at pop-up shows by original art from artists? So do they support local or do they buy when they only travel? Do they buy art from Paris and different places that they travel and bring home? That speaks differently than people that don't. So and you can't force it on people. Tell them how to spend their money. That's not going to work. So
no, I won't talk anybody into buying a piece. They have to want it.
There you go. Yeah, and I agree. But you can talk with them about it. But I found it's a hard sell when it'll come back on you. Like they'll bring the painting back if they're not happy with it. You're going to be.
One client do that. It was a 36 by 60, so it was big. And I could tell she wasn't sure about it. And I said, really? So anyway, so we went over place, hung it up. And then later on I came and she said, she doesn't like the painting. And I said, why? Like what is wrong with it? And she said, well, her daughter came in and said it looked like a bunch of acne. And I went, I bought it back. Like I couldn't let her sit there over her couch, people coming in and she doesn't like the painting.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she bought 2 other ones to replace it. So that was great. But no, if you don't like it, then I'll take it back because I can't, as an artist, have something hanging that you don't even want.
Yeah, a lot of the general public need confidence, and a lot of times they'll buy safe paintings because of their friends and people that come into their home, and rarely that you'll find a person that maybe after years of collecting, they may have some aggressive paintings. And I'll say, nudes being one of them. Is a really, it's out there for a lot of people to say, I can't do that. It's a little like standing in front of the bathroom mirror. They don't really want to do that and don't want people to see that in your personality. So,
But I've painted a few nudes, abstractly wise, that came out. And the people that bought them were women in their mid, 50s to 60s, and put them up in their bedroom. I was amazed.
Yeah.
So it depends on the audience, I guess.
I don't want to go there. I don't know what. Yeah.
Now this piece is a car.
Yeah. Yeah. I have stories about it as well in my household as well. But my my older daughter, when she was 16, I had in the upstairs bathroom, I had a gentle nude in the bathroom, a small one, and I had taken the birch tree out of the bathroom and put this one to replace it. And my daughter, within an hour, she sensed that she had that painting switched out. She's, Dad, I have friends, She wasn't having that one in the bathroom. It's okay. It was so much, and that was from an artist's daughter too, So she lived with me.
Well, at shows, I have to be very careful. I don't take any of them to shows because there's children and adults and people have different opinions.
Yeah.
So you don't show them either.
Yeah, yeah. So this one is a battle scene out on the ocean in 1820.
I think you should move to Vancouver.
Yeah, it could be a lot of different things. This is lovely.
Yeah.
These are so Turner-esque. I love them. I love the pieces. There's a story in every one of these, and there's water and an old world in you somewhere. I don't know.
It's so interesting when people come into my tent to look at them, and I sit outside, pretend I don't, I'm not paying attention, and to hear what they see in them, it's amazing,
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Really good at having a good insight.
Yeah. I've got a couple little guys. You see pirate ship in there.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous piece. This feels like an etching to me, and there's a very beautiful, powerful piece. Is this piece sold?
Most of the pieces you're showing are all sold. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody's very happy. Somebody's
right,
very
48, so it's a long one.
Yeah, somebody's very happy with this one.
It's so hard to let them go. I have a hard time doing that. Like I'm excited that you bought it, but I'm sad in a way too. So that sometimes it takes me a while to put it in a show because I just don't want to put it in a show yet.
Yeah. Well, you need the money. You got to buy more tar. You just got.
Yeah, that's what my husband would say.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably got a tool list that he'd like you to buy, probably with all your, with that tar. I need this, and this.
My hands and keep my hands out of his toolbox.
Get tar. Yeah, I can imagine tar all over the tools. I don't know if I'd be real happy. Tar is one of those things, you put it on one hand, and before you know it, it's on the other hand, and it's on your shirt.
Oh, it's on the ground, and then the place stinks with mineral spirits because you have to clean it up. And, it's very creative, but it's a mess.
Yeah, it's very messy. No title on this one, but yeah, it says something quite.
Well, I forgot the title. I can't remember what I called it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you didn't title it, and I didn't put it on, so I said, well, it doesn't need it. I don't think so.
No.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about this? Probably not, or more than what we've discussed.
No, this one's done with a palette. Like this one's done on paper too.
Okay, so it's on.
And
paper.
this one you can turn the other way because the gold at the bottom turned it up, and it looks like the sky.
So it could be a landscape of mountains or whatever. It could be whatever.
It has a feel of a landscape, I think. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you are a landscape painter a little bit. You really are. You paint.
Some of them have been coming out that way.
Well, I think after a while you paint a while, and I think if you go to enough other shows and you're influenced by some other things you like, say you travel and you go to certain places, and I think those things all inspire starting points. I guess I'll even call it that. Not that you really started out to paint, say, a mountain, and it could maybe be where your mind is taking you at that moment. I mean,
who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's a very brave thing to do, is to just step up to a canvas without a preconceived idea of what you're going to do. I mean,
And I see it as exciting and something to, I just, you feel the canvas and you put the stuff on and whoa, what can happen? It's just amazing. Whereas the other way, to me, it's tedious. Okay, where do I start? Oh, okay, the sky. And then I've got to do this. And I really admire people who do like watercolors or paint that is more, looks like the picture. Like I admire that you can do that because I can't. I tried watercolors. I found it just exasperating because all I ended up was with mud.
Yeah.
And you have to be in such control and it's such. I really admire the work that they do with that. Like the previous artist that you had on, her work was tremendous. I don't know how she did it.
Yeah. Watercolor is probably one of the hardest mediums to start out on. If you can bear with that for actually a number of years and develop a skill set understanding, you can paint anything. Because it requires a fair amount of planning. Even if you are a loose wet into wet watercolorist of some kind, you still need to know when to stop and start, how dry the paper is, how wet it is. Do I turn it up? Because it moves. It's always moving. And I can see that somewhat in your work as well. It's always moving and changing, and you're mostly manipulating it a bit, but because it's kind of sticks there, right? Where watercolor it'll run away on you in a minute. Yours mostly will run away.
Yes.
Yeah. If your pigment is mixed too loose, it'll run away on you. That's what'll happen. But understanding what it can do takes a while to learn. You need to learn how to work with. For me to pick up tar right now and figure out how to, I'd have to make a few messes, I'm sure, before I got to a stage where I felt I had control of it a little bit, rather than it controlling me.
You let go of control. You throw control right out the window. Just go, know? And it's called, you play. It's creativity. You just play in it. And you'd be surprised what happens. But you have to cut your head off, and I paint so I don't think.
That is the hard thing, is to shut certain things down and activate the other ones, at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's you figured out how to do it for sure. And this one is very illustrative. You got some faces and eyes and eyeballs, and
this one was the top that was on top of my table, and I took it off and I just pinned it on the wall. Then all these faces came out, and I said, "Okay." So I just started. I can't draw, but I just kind of did with the pencil or the charcoal just to see where they were, and there was a lot more faces. I had to take some of them off. I said, "There's just too many people here." Oh yeah, and each face was different, so I called it ponder because all women think. We all stop and we keep thinking and thinking. Driving husbands crazy, but we think and we think. So each one of these is in a different phase in their life and is thinking about what, I'm not sure, but
yeah, that's it's nice to do. And there he is.
Very cool. That was great stuff. I enjoyed it. Thank you. And then here's my question I ask all the artists. So if someone wants to buy some of your work, what's it range? And we know it's in Canadian dollars, so it's not like real money. But what's it between, X and Z?
I charge.
Oh, we got a break up here.
Her internet went away at the perfect time when we asked her the price. So
square inch.
You're back.
So you take the size of the painting and times it by 65. So so it doesn't matter the size.
I think she said it was 65.
It did.
Okay.
We've got a very bad feed.
Does that make sense? So I don't do my size.
Well, if we heard you, it would have made great sense. But for some reason, the internet on your side, or it could be on our side, died. So you came in and out. So we heard something about 65 cents a square inch, and that was it. I think that was.
It probably is.
No, she's dead.
It is my internet.
That's.
Yeah.
Okay. It's because you're in the middle of nowhere.
we got through it. Yeah.
Well, at least you guys got through the interview. So my questions are superfluous. Everybody, thank you for watching. Paul will be back next Thursday with another exciting artist from Canada. Cathy, thank you for joining us. Cathy's information and details will be below. Don't forget to subscribe and like. If you can't get a hold of Cathy because of her internet, get a hold of us and we'll put you in touch with Cathy. And that's it. Cathy, thank you for being with us. You were great.
Thanks, Cathy. You take care.
Cheers.
Oh, it was great. Thank you very much. And they can look at my website. Just at Cathy Bible. There you go.